This has been a relatively short-lived controversy, but there is a perception within government that it could do damage to the coalition long-term, as well as potentially spark something of a rift between the two biggest parties in it. So Brendan McDonagh, the chief executive of NAMA, last night issuing a statement saying that he was withdrawing himself from consideration for the role, saying that he didn't want to be a source of controversy for the government, that he wished well whoever did actually take on the role. But there is a view within government at this point in time that Fine Gael had some considerable disquiet about how this was progressing, about not being kept in the loop effectively, about the appointment of Brendan McDonagh and his selection as the preferred candidate by the Housing Minister James Browne. Reported that at the Cabinet Subcommittee yesterday that Simon Harris, the Taoiseach, the leader of Fine Gael, told the Housing Minister that Fine Gael had been kept out of the loop and that before any names had been floated in the media, they should have been informed. Now this, of course, sparked considerable opposition backlash as well as public disquiet, particularly about the scale of the salary which would have been proposed for Brendan McDonagh if he was appointed as the so-called housing czar at €430,000 per year. Opposition housing spokespeople are very much all over this today.
Well, this is an utter shambles, and of course the big losers are those people who are in desperate need of secure and affordable housing. But this entire proposal from the very start was ill-conceived, and I'm calling on the government to go back to the drawing board, scrap this idea of an activation office with no powers, and fully implement the Housing Commission's recommendation, one which Sinn Féin supports, to implement a housing delivery oversight executive with emergency powers to properly coordinate and increase and accelerate the delivery of both public and private housing.
Well, we're expecting to hear from the Taoiseach Micheál Martin today, and potentially as well the Housing Minister James Browne. It'll be interesting to hear their views on this. But when you pair this story with the fact of the consternation around the missing of last year's housing figures and how much the government knew about whether or not they would indeed miss the target in that regard, as well as the industry's view that the 2025 and 2026 targets will also not be met, it is very clear that housing is an issue that will continue to dog the government.